So is the ball python market crashing? Man, look, I don't know. I think that, is the toy train market crashing? Is the exotic or expensive purse market crashing? Is the luxury car market crashing? Well, if those are suffering, which they are, why would we expect the reptile market to be any different? But I think because you've tuned into this channel, you know that I'm going to give you some information and some numbers that you can actually move with. This is not going to be my opinion, because our opinions are like the phrase, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm always trying not to leave the opinions, but hey, let's leave it up to the video and see if I can actually prove to you if the ball python market is crashing or if it's not. And plus at the end, I'll show you some of our latest release hatchlings that I'll be putting on MorphMarket. Hey, how's it going, guys? Paul with Spheric Reptiles. Now, thank you so much for tuning in today, man. I'm so fired up. Look, ever since we got these racks, man, I'm telling you, my time to do everything has been cut in half, let me tell you. Because before, you know the picture, you see it on the screen, you can see the evolution of where we started, right? And then where we were before and now where we're at now. So, man, this has been the life-changing thing. In our last living situation, I just couldn't do this because I couldn't take them upstairs and I just didn't want to do that. So we waited until we moved to get this rack system. And man, let me tell you, look, I just want to explain something to you. Come here, baby. So I am using push pins to do everything. So I got these right here for animals that are below 10 millimeters. These are for animals that are above 10 millimeters, 20, 30, 40, and then ovulation here. And then on this side, I got black for the animals that are off food, and then yellow or orange for animals that are in shed. So I'm doing it this way because it's easy for us to do it. Just like we name the animals, like this is Oprah Winfrey, which I know, you know, nobody watches the Oprah show anymore. It's not even on TV. But this is a black pastel orange dream double head for clown pied. So since I mentioned her, I will go ahead and show her to you guys. So that's her. She's big enough to breathe. She reabsorbed the last time. She has a nice collection of poop in there that I need to clean out afterwards. But instead of us saying black pastel orange dream double head clown pied, we just say Oprah. And that way we know what we're talking about, for the same reason as we got Beyonce, Lucy, Baby Ruth, Jess, Vuitton after the purse, Louis Vuitton. There was a Louis and there was a Vuitton, but it's sold. But anyway, yeah, this has been life-changing, guys. I really want to let you know that. And if we can show these over here, even though this isn't my day to actually get these animals out, I got two yellowtail crebos here and here. And you can see them on the screen. I got pictures of them. And then I got these axanthic, a breeding pair of axanthic Chinese king rat snakes. I got a male up here and a female here, and you can see those on the screen side by side. Of course, we got our males over here. These are all of our breeder males. We try to keep them separated just because we want to keep them away from all the pheromones that the females are exuding. I mean, I think it's healthy. But just to let you guys know that we're still not done pairing, I'm gonna show you guys and see if these guys are locked up. And so right here, we got a clown pied with the chocolate inchy hypo that's hit for Desert Ghost. They're locked up right there. They're getting busy. Then we also have this pair right here, which is a TSK hypo with a phantom cinnamon yellow belly female to try to make some more of our True Ghost projects. And then I got one over here, and I don't know if they're paired up or not. You'd have to walk over here, baby, to see if they're paired up. And they're still separated. So this is our black pastel red stripe inchy fire double head clown and G-stripe. And this is our spot nose yellow belly clown female. They're not going. She's just too young right now. She has the right size. He's already a year and a half, but yeah, so we're still moving and grooving over here at Spheric Reptiles, but you can see that we're not actually just pairing up for one thing. We're pairing up for multiple things. Here we're trying to make quads, and that's one of the things that I'd like to stress about the ball python market. Man, that was a long speech to get to where we are now. I don't think that the ball python market is crashing. I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. I'm not going to clickbait you. This is what I think. I think that if you look at trading economics, there you can see the price of Brent and crude oil, right? And you can also see the price of natural gas. So if all of those things are going up, I mean, we got the Strait of Hormuz issue over there. Until that's resolved, we're going to always see that the price of everything goes up because of shipping. So the cost of shipping equals inflation. I just wanted you guys to know that. So if you notice that it costs more per gallon per diesel, because that's what things are shipped by. They're not shipped with unleaded, but for diesel. So that's what runs some of our trains and all of our 18-wheelers. And then the price of jet fuel. You know, if we look at all of those types of factors that go into that, if you travel Spirit, you already know what I'm talking about, man. You know, you can't fly with Spirit no more. What, 2 weekends ago, you had tickets in your hand. It was like Monopoly money. I'm not shitting on y'all, man. But either way, you know what I'm talking about. So as prices go up, the cost of goods and services go up. Where are we now? So you're a new breeder and you're trying to breed ball pythons. You might even be an existing breeder, but the truth of the matter is that it costs more for you to get everything and for you to sell everything. We look at us getting these racks, and we bought these used. So we got 2 for the price of 1 from a buddy of ours from Oklahoma City that we see all the time. He's getting out of breeding. So that's happening a lot. So definitely if you're looking to upgrade what you currently have into what you want, then you might want to check with your friends just to see what the barometer is, and you might be able to get a good deal. This is a great deal. These are 1065s, and these are the hybrid series of 50 series they're both from ARS, and they're powder coated. I didn't care if they were stainless steel or not, but then these over here, these are reptile habitats. I bought them all at once from Dubia.com. I could have got a 10 stack of 70 series probably for the same thing. And you know, it's just one of those things. It's like for most of our animals, I don't want to put them in the dark. So if it's an animal that is a diurnal animal, which is a daytime animal, I want it to be able to get out and have a light cycle and radiant heat panels and all that other stuff. If it's an animal like a ball python that likes the dark, that prefers the dark and tight spaces, I want to give them exactly what they want. But if we look at the ball python market, because that's what you tuned into this video for, is to see exactly where is the market. So I'm going to use 2 comparatives. I'm going to compare June 22nd of 2024 with May 16th, today, of 2026. I am looking at the total market in ball pythons. And so as you're looking at the screen, you can see that the number of ball pythons in June of 24 was 31,354, but then crested geckos were 6,228. Boa constrictors were 3,698. Leopard geckos were 1,936. Retics were 1,000, and to cap it off, bearded dragons, which, remember bearded dragons, guys? They were so popular when we first got into the industry. It was bearded dragons and ball pythons were everywhere. Crested geckos were just now coming onto the scene, but if we look at those bearded dragons, and I got a cheat over here, 480 of them were produced 2 years ago, right? June 22nd, 2024. Now, those are solid numbers. They all came from MorphMarket. These numbers all come from MorphMarket. So it's not my opinion. I'm not pulling it out of you know what. But if we look at this year on this day, after I've been doing stuff all day long, and I was like, hey, I want to put out something that people can actually use and that they can start to make their plans on. But May 16, 2026, these are our numbers for ball pythons as you're looking at the screen. 22,262, which represent a negative 29% change from 2 years ago. Let me let that sink in. So I know how we're always talking about the ball python market is oversaturated, but a drop of almost 30% of ball pythons that are being sold on MorphMarket. And if you go to your reptile shows, you're seeing even fewer vendors at reptile shows, and they have fewer animals. So that's what the market does, guys. It drops things where, you know, it's a supply and demand curve. If there's no demand for something, people don't produce as much, which is very smart. But let me go ahead and compare the rest of the animals. As you're looking at the screen, you see that crested geckos are at 63.63, which is a 2.2% increase over 2 years ago. So the crested gecko market is still running strong, but that might be a production thing to where the breeders got it right. They're hitting the right numbers so they can produce the same amount and sell those same animals, which, by the way, I got to let you know, for all animals, crested geckos are the best entry reptile on the market because it doesn't require any heating, and you can buy a baby food formula food for it, and all you can do is put some isopods. You can do a bioactive enclosure really easy, but hey, that's sidebar. Now looking at the screen again, we can look at the other animals. You got boa constrictors at 31.11, and that's a negative 15.9% drop. Leopard geckos are at 16.79, which represents a 13.3% drop. Reed ticks are at 763, which represents a 23.7% drop. And bearded dragons are at 490, which represents a 2% increase. So 2 years ago, I thought I saw a lot of bearded dragons, but I really didn't. Maybe it was because of the shows that we vended. But what I want you guys to take from this is that there are certain parts of the industry and the reptile hobby that sometimes we overproduce. And then what happens is when the market comes in, like with any other market, whether you're buying cars, trucks, jewelry, any luxury item, like if you're buying improvements to your home, you'll notice that those luxury expenditures go down when it's harder, when there's more inflation. And so I won't say that it's harder. What I'll say is inflation is caused from fuel or oil prices, right? So remember, if it costs more to ship it, it's going to cost more for you to get. So now that you got that, I know that we think that we're on an island here in the US, but let me compare that to the world. For my mates that are abroad, right? I mean, I can say that you're my mates because if you're in the reptile hobby, we all know each other. I think I know you because I see you on social media. But if we look at June 22nd, 2024, what we got is 40,669 ball pythons that were on the market, which represents 77% of the ball pythons that were sold on MorphMarket were from the US, right? So it's like a lot fewer breeders in the European nations and everywhere else than there were then. But now, if we look at the world market, which is a little bit better, on MorphMarket from May 16, 2026, what we got is, I'm gonna cheat real quick, 30,057. And we have in the US, remember, it's 22,262. And that represents 74% of all of the ball pythons. So the US still contains the lion's share of the ball python industry. Now you'll see some of the guys that are out there and they have import-export licenses. So if you want to expand your reach, then if you get these licenses to export to other countries, then it could possibly help you. But the one thing that I will warn you about is when you ship your animals, unless you know a dedicated person on the other side that will be receiving them for you, it's still a gamble. So you'd have to be able to make that trip, set up those contacts, and make those business deals so that you could actually do so with confidence. The most common one is shipping to either Mexico or Canada, right? Yeah, you can do that, and you can ship to Mexico and Canada. It's on the same continent, so you wouldn't have to cross any water. That's a lot to say, but this is what this all means to you. The U.S. market for ball pythons, if you're choosing to breed, and I saw a video from Shane from Small Town Exotics, and then there was a lady that was part of his Patreon that followed up. They both had good and, different messages. His was, hey, be careful of the ball python industry. What you want to do is make sure that you're getting into something that you know about. He was looking at it from a business standpoint. Now, the other lady that was part of his Patreon, she had a great video. She was saying that breeding reptiles is no different than collecting model trains, model planes. If you travel, if you fix up cars, you're going to be spending money on all of this. But as long as the main idea from both of them was that as long as you can still maintain your lifestyle and it doesn't cause you to go into extreme debt from having these animals, then it's something that you can do and you can continue to have fun with it, which is what we stress at Spheric Reptiles. And I know that I've been putting a lot of snakes on the screen, and hopefully you're enjoying that instead of just seeing me run my mouth like this all the time. But I just really wanted you guys to see exactly what all is going on and to hear the numbers and to see the charts. So like I said before, screenshot these charts just so that you can have them on your phone, so that if you're ever feeling a kind of way, you can kind of see how the market's going and how it's not. So what does this mean for new ball python breeders that are just getting in? And this is existing breeders as well. Unless you're one of the top 20 guys in the country or top 10 guys, because the 80-20 rule applies. 20% of the people make 80% of the money from the industry, and that's no different here. So what that means for you is I need you to plan for the long term. So don't think about animals that are hype and popular now. Think about projects that you want to fulfill. And I think that's where the greatest joy, that's where the greatest joy for us comes from. When we think about projects that we really want to fulfill and that we really want to grow with and see what happens with it. Because when we look down that rabbit hole, the Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole, what we saw as we went into the Matrix is that once you get past a couple of genes, the incomplete dominant genes. We didn't see any of the animals. We've yet to see them still to this day. But that also shows there's plenty of room for growth. So even if you have clown projects, there's a lot of room to grow in just clown projects. If you want to breed pieds, there's a lot of room to grow in pied projects, because as people started chasing these double, triple, quad, penta, hexa recessive, then they've in a sense forgot about the other single gene animals or 2 gene animals. So if you're breeding clown pieds or clown desert ghosts, then you still have a lot of room to grow, because we kind of skipped over that as a hobby. We just went from, okay, well, this makes a lot of money and this makes more money, so let's jump to the more money. Also, what I'd recommend for you to do is to just really avoid overproduction and make sure that you kind of have a market to go to before you actually start producing animals. So I'm not saying do it like we did it. We started vending shows before we actually had animals, because I wanted to make sure I could get into those shows that I wanted to get into. Luckily, I have a great mentor in Danny Cadena with Chain Reaction Exotics. He and his wife, Anna, welcomed Lynn and I so that we could actually just show up with a couple of snakes and see what it was like for us. And then when we were able to get a table, now that we're into that show, and we were in another show, but now, you know, NARBC moved out of Dallas, as for what I know, until they find another location. I'm on a waiting list, but I really enjoyed that show. However, being able to get into that show ahead of time let me know exactly what was going to happen, what I would need. And I got to talk to a lot of other breeders about some of their hardships and their successes of what it took for them to breed. And that is all relevant to the ball python market now and the state of our economic affairs. So I know that you guys want to see what we have remaining from 2025, because I kind of teased that at the beginning. So we don't have a lot of hatchlings left. So what we did is we had 96 hatchlings last year, right? About 96, and we were able to sell all of them except for 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this is our last clutch. This is the last clutch we had that was born around November. Was it November? Yeah, November 25th. We would have had these up sooner, but they weren't quick to get on food, and they were born sub 50 grams. And I did a video on that, on, you know, low birth weights and the success of those hatchlings to get on food. Now, as a breeder and a reptile lover, well, I love reptiles, right? I can say that right. I'm a reptile lover. So, it's so fucking crazy. But so, as a reptile enthusiast and someone that's very passionate about the care of his reptiles, I wanted to make sure that these would survive and that they would be hungry, and so that when someone else buys them, that I can tell them the full story, and then they can see from our feeding charts, which are through Husbandry Pro, what exactly we have. So I'll start with this first one, which this is the Mexican food clutch, guys. So I got Tortilla right here, and Tortilla is a black pastel head clown, and you can see just how fiery he is. Tortilla right now is eating anything from rat pups to adult mice. So it took a while to get him there, but still, you know, I would rather take that time than to not. Then if we go here, this is Pika. Pika is just a head clown, and she was the run of the litter. So as I take this off of Pika, you can see that she's still relatively small, but now she's eating 1 mouse a week. So it took her a while, but also she's not dehydrated. I make sure that their water's changed all the time. But yeah, Pika is something else. She's actually one that I could hand assist feed. Just to tell y'all the story, I used to put the little pinkies like in her mouth at the end, and for like 4 feedings in a row, and even when we got up to the fuzzies, she just wanted me to put them inside of her mouth, and then she started wrapping it up. But if I dangled it in front of her, because we feed majority frozen thawed, actually I think we feed all frozen thawed for the animals that we've hatched, because they don't have a choice. They got to eat that frozen thawed, man. Then we have right here Nacho, and Nacho is really interesting. So I had Nacho genetic tested, and he has shed, so that's good. So I had Nacho genetic tested, and he came back negative for, what was it, Orange Dream? So for Red Stripe. He came up negative for Red Stripe, but he came up positive for Black Pastel. So I don't know how this could not be Red Stripe. I think that there's multiple tests. I've talked to Sean at RGI about it, and maybe we can retest it. But yeah, so you can see now he's up to a good size. He's a little feisty. So I'll put him back in there, and I put these hides in there just to give him added security. Now let's go to Taco. Taco is a black pastel that I also think might have a little red stripe, but I just definitively just think that Taco is just a black pastel. And one of the things that I noticed about these tubs is they're always food driven because they're in the dark. The ventilation system's up at the top, but you can see just how much he's gained. Now he's over 100 grams and he's ready to go to a new home. So all of these animals will be on MorphMarket for people to purchase either as pets or breeders. They won't be priced extremely high either. And the last one we have is Enchilada. And you notice how I put my fingers in under the bottom because I've been getting tagged on this. Now she did test positive for red stripe and black pastel. And you see just how pretty she is. Great eater. She's the first one that went to eating. So she eats one adult mouse or a frozen thawed rat pup once a week. And you see how she's snapping like that? It's just like these containers just make them want to just eat a lot. So I'll just put that back on top of her and put her back in there if it'll fit. All right, so we got those. And then let me show you some of the other ones that we have. And the reason I'm saying this is because someone messaged me on MorphMarket that's from the Dallas area, and they were asking what animals do we have. And I'm gonna end up taking pictures of these and putting them on there by the end of Sunday. So here's another animal that we have. This is Hannibal. Hannibal is from our Scary Movie clutch, and you just see how big he's gotten. He's a good sub-adult now. He's a yellow belly that's double head for TSK and hypo. And he's already on MorphMarket, but what I'll do is I'll put some new pictures on there, but great feeder. He eats everything from rat pups, frozen thaweds to adult mice. Now, why do I keep saying from rat pups to frozen thawed mice, adult mice? I don't know what people have access to, so I don't know if they're gonna have access to rats or mice. So a lot of the times with our hatchlings, we end up going back and forth, just so that that potential buyer will be able to get these animals and then still move forward regardless of what they have available to them. So if they have mice, the animal is good. If they have rats, I understand as a breeder, we say that, all right, get your animals on rats fast. But if you're not planning on breeding it, there really is no advantage over the other if you just want a pet, right? I mean, I really feel that way because you can buy colossal mice that are just as big as weaned rats. So as we move right along, then the next one that I have is Carrie, and she's probably going to be bitey as well. And Carrie is a very special animal. She happens to be yellow belly. That's double head for TSK and hypo. It's been a while since I've upgraded her picture on MorphMarket, but you see the length that she has. She's more than the length of the tub, but she still has plenty of room to grow. She was a slow feeder as well, but now she's exclusively on frozen thawed rat pups. And then here we got Thor, who is a confusion head clown. And he's got a little present for us in there as well. And he's on either frozen thawed rat pups. And you see just the confusion in there for the pattern. So if you're looking to add clown to your projects, then that's one way you can do it. You can do it by adding a het. And then here we got Captain Marvel, who is a female that is a confusion head clown. You see that she's a lot bigger than her brother Thor. And of course, we got this is the Marvel comic clutch. Still wondering why she's here, but you know, hey, I understand. And the last one we have is Kansas City, who happens to be one of the older hatchlings, but he's a yellow belly leopard that's head for clown, and we had him genetic tested, as well as we had Thor and Captain Marvel genetic tested to make sure that they were clown. Who else did we have? We had a couple of these other ones genetic tested, but you see just how vibrant he is, and he's got that good leopard gene going. And so now if we go over here, we got, well, this one is Portia. So the story with her is I want to know one way or the other if they are, so you see how she is? She went off of food and I tried to put her in a bigger container, and I thought she was yellow belly, but she is definitely double heifer, clown, and pied, but she's got a lot of size on her, and she eats every time. So she eats frozen, thawed, live, and it doesn't matter, mouse or rat. And the very last one that we have is Michael Myers. And Mike Myers is just a double heifer TSK and hypo. And you see how he looks. He looks like he would have yellow belly as well, but we had him genetic tested and negative for yellow belly, which is weird because he really looks like he has yellow belly. But since the data says he doesn't, I'm gonna go with the data. Because that's what the people are actually paying for and to trust. And I know it's better than my eye. So hopefully that's something good to encourage you guys, because we have 2 clutches in the incubator right now. And then you see that we're working on others. All of these with blue on them are the ones that have been paired up. The greens are going, the reds are there. So, I mean, we got a lot of different things going on in Spheric Reptiles. And I say that just to keep you motivated and enthusiastic about this, because at the end of the day, you don't have to buy rack systems. You don't have to buy an ultrasound. You don't have to buy a professional incubator. You can DIY the incubator and the racks. You can start off small like we did, and then as you get to the stage that you feel like you need these other things because of necessity, then you can plan for it. And I think that's the key. If you can plan for the future, then you do a lot better. So as you see here, we have our TSK hypo projects, and there's a lot of different stuff here. And this male has been working really hard, whereas our dreamsicle male really didn't work that hard for us. We missed a lot with him. He just didn't pair up well. So we got, 3 holdbacks from his clutch. I can go ahead and show them. This is Sycamore. She's triple head for clown, lavender albino, and pied. So it was good to get her. She was part of the dual sire clutch. And then right here we got Viserion, who is a blackhead leopard, lavender, albino, head pied. And I'll just pull this out so you can see her. See how pretty she is. She's getting a lot of weight on her. She's one of the younger ones that we have from a holdback, and she just picked up weight really well. Push. So as I put her back, let me go ahead and move down to the last one, which is Cottonwood. And Cottonwood is a blackhead leopard that is blackhead leopard that's heifer pied as well. And she's picked up a lot of weight, exclusively frozen thawed rat pups. So as you're breeding, one of the things that I want you to consider is what your animal prefers. If your animal is a female, you want to start leaning them more towards the rats and rat pups, right? Early on. And if your animal is a male, and I know this is far away from the ball python market, but every time that I talk to you, I want to tell you something, because I really feel like YouTube should be instructional. And I think that if you're tuning into our channel and our videos, the instructions are what you tune in for. So if you're on males, you'd be good to feed them mice, right? Because the males don't need to be extra fat anyway. They need to stay lean so that they're not lazy and that they want to breed. Now the females, you need to put more fat reserves on them so that they can develop follicle sizes, which is something I talked about in the previous video. So I covered a lot. So the number one thing, if I have to say anything else, is definitely follow your path, plan. Now, the ball python market is down by 30% almost, right? But that doesn't mean that the reptile industry is down, because if you talk to any vendors, if you've tuned in to vendors, a lot of them shifted over to other projects. Like we're shifting over to the Chinese king rat snake and Crebos and the Dominican red mountain boas, as well as ball pythons. We're not doing as many pairings, and we're being a little bit more strategic about what we're doing. That's just for us, because I feel like diversification is good when you're investing for your future, as well as when you're investing for your hobby. That's the way I feel. That's my personal opinion. That has nothing to do with the way I feel about everybody else. Now, there are a lot of other breeders that got into hog noses. There are some breeders that got into other different types of snakes. Some breeders chose to get out. Some chose to downsize and work on a specific project. Now, as a new breeder, or even if you're an existing breeder, one of the key things you have to do is forecast your future. So I'm going to say, plan for the next 3 years to start out. That should be pretty easy. You know the pairings that you're going to get, and the females take 2 years. So in a sense, you skip that second year. So you go from 1 year to year 3 with that female, right? And that's your limiting factor, because if you don't have those females to actually lay the eggs, then you won't have any hatchlings, like you won't have any production. So, and the other thing is just be smart about it. Make sure that you get a good feeder source, because remember, it's costing more to ship these things. So when you find a good deal, make sure that you jump on it. And I think that's all I got, guys. I wish I had more, but I think I said a mouthful because I do a lot of talking. My throat is dry, and I think I need a drink now. It's Saturday, and I think we're supposed to go out and look at some food to put on the grill tonight so I can smoke it through the night. Now, if you know about smoking, then you're my boy. But anyway, hey, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Definitely, as I leave, I'll show you my Aunt Margot. This is my auntie, y'all. So I'll show you my Aunt Margot. I love my Aunt Margot. And if nothing else, guys, enjoy that time that you spend with your reptiles, like Aunt Margot here, which I had to hand feed her for a month and a half, bro. A month and a half. And definitely, guys, cherish that time that you have with your family. Thank you.